started.
Okay, Rifleman 653. I think it's time to start with D4. Okay, he goes D6. So this could be a Neo-Philidor or a Pirt's defense. That's a Neo-Philidor. So interesting way to get into the Philidor defense. Notice that I started out with D4, but the Philidor defense is an E4 opening. And I've got this bishop out here defending the pawn, which is not the way it's usually played when you're playing a straightforward Philidor. I guess that's sort of the point of this move order, is to get the Philidor defense with a slightly different flavor. But I think I can continue to develop normally. Okay, let's see. If he takes and I take back with the queen, that's not a problem yet. So let's go ahead and kick the bishop now. At some point, this d-pawn might be weak. He might be taking and taking, like if he had a knight on c6. But here, he doesn't. And also I can play bishop to e3 at some point to defend that pawn, or I can push it forward now if he plays knight c6 now. So he takes there and then plays the knight to c6. So he is hitting the d4 pawn. I think I'll defend it with the bishop. I was just stopping to think if there was any reason to push the pawn forward. Pushing the pawn forward leaves this hole on e5 that his knight can hop into, forking the queen and the bishop. So, I mean, it doesn't win material, but it's probably pretty comfortable for black. So we'll just play like this. I think white should be a little better here, a little more space in the center. He's got his pieces out. He has a bishop pair. What's the plan? See, I keep these pawns together, and then he can't occupy the d5 and the e5 squares. He can play knight to b4 and harass this bishop. Yeah, let's go ahead and stop that. I was wondering, I could ignore it. I could have played knight to c3, and if he played knight to b4, just drop my bishop back. But I kind of like the idea of keeping his knight out of there. So now he was maybe bringing an extra attacker onto the e-file, so I'm bringing an extra defender for the e-pawn. Still, I've got 3 defenders and he only has 2 attackers, so it is overprotected still at this point. So I guess this is a very solid setup for black. It's going to be hard to attack over here with his bishop on f8, defending the g7 square. Maybe chasing the knight away and mating on h. Mating on h7 is an idea. So what happens if I play e5 now? Pawn takes, rook takes, I guess is what happens. Let's see, and his knight, well, his knight is not going anywhere immediately. You know, I guess his knight has gotten out of the way so he can play the move c5, and then after I take, that opens up at least one of these squares here for his pieces. Let's see. So maybe if I put a rook on the d-file, he plays c5, I take, and my rook is defending the bishop. So I'm thinking the rook's belong on d1 and c1. And so his idea was just to come in there. Okay. I think things are still defended at this point. I was a little more worried about that c5 idea. You could play c5 now, yeah. Okay, so if I take, now it's defended. But I do have a tempo move with my bishop after he takes back. Yeah, so bishop takes knight, pawn takes knight, and then bishop to b5 would hit his rook and his queen simultaneously. And I don't think he can protect both of them. Plus I want to get rid of that knight anyway because he was starting to gang up on the e-pawn. I mean, well, it's not a matter of protecting him. It's just that he's going to lose the exchange here because he has to move the queen, and he can't move the queen that makes any big threats. All of my pieces seem reasonably well protected. Rooks protect each other. The knight is protected by the pawn and the queen. This pawn is protected by the knight and the queen. So this is one of those little tactics that should pick up an edge. That's a good move. So now after I take his rook, he's hitting the b pawn here. Oh, the b pawn is defended. Never mind. So it's not an issue. So now I can play knight to d5. That hits his queen and his knight. And if he trades, that probably helps me. Yeah, definitely helps me. I want to take back with the rook, I think, so I can get my rook to... let's think about this. I want to get my rook to d7 there and gang up on the f7 square, because one of the disadvantages of having the bishop on f8 is there's no natural defender of the f7 pawn like a rook on f8. But I could consider taking with the pawn as well. That gives me a passed pawn. That also has an advantage to it. Yeah, let's go for the passed pawn. I think that's probably stronger. Okay, gave his king a little space. He's going to put his bishop on g7, I guess. If I push the pawn immediately, he can take it. Let's play the move b3. See if he still wants to play bishop to g7. Yeah, he played that anyway. So now I can push this pawn forward. The pawn is just easier to defend on b3 anyway. My queen and my rook are both defending it, and he can't attack it with the bishop. So, you know, that's the plan. Put as many things on light squares as I can. Well, how is he going to stop this pawn from queening now? I guess he's saying his bishop interferes with the defense of the pawn, huh? So the pawn comes forward. The rook goes to d8, attacking the pawn. Queen here defends it, and then he can block with the pawn. Okay, I guess that works. So how about if I play pawn to b4 here? He takes, I take, and his bishop is not quite hanging, but it's less well defended than it was before. His bishop is defended by his queen, so that's why it's not hanging. So I guess he can round up this pawn. So maybe my idea of taking with the pawn was a bad choice. We'll see. But at least I leave him with this pawn here. Yeah, his bishop can take here with check, but yeah, I don't see that's not an immediate problem. See, I can grab this pawn.
Server announcement.
And I like that because now I am coordinating on f7, which is what I wanted to do earlier. He can take this pawn. No, that leaves his bishop hanging. So probably he can't do that. Okay, so he pushed his f-pawn forward. Now I have a check here. And then he has a check here. So I have to be a little careful. But I can throw in this check and see which way his king moves. If his king goes here, then it's mate. So his king will go to h8. There was no blocking, right? Okay, so now I play queen to f7, threatening mate on h7, and he can't defend it. He has one check. But is it more than one check? He also has the rook here. So he checks here. I step to the side. Brings his rook in with check. I take it. Takes. Yeah, I think it's all harmless. So let's see. If he interposes with the rook, Let's see, I can mate with the queen. If he interposes with the queen, I can take it. I could probably take the rook too if he interposes with the rook. So bishop takes f2, I think, is only try here. I go king to h1.
Check.
And then after king h1, he has the check with the rook, but I can take it. He has no other checks, right? And still no way to stop queen h7. Mate. Any other tricks he could try here? I don't see them. Everything's too slow at this point because there's the only check he has remaining is this check with rook to rook to e1, and I will just take
Black
it.
resigns.
Yeah, it didn't do anything. Okay, well, start off the new year with a win. I will upload this and do a post-mortem. See you guys later. Bye.